Hi everyone. Well, it's another cold night shaping up here in southern Ontario. It's expected to be about minus 12 tonight with a cold north wind, and I've been out a few times today and it's quite biting in the face. Anyhow, days like this when you're stuck inside more, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the news sometimes, all the negative things that are in the news. So at times like that, I often let my mind wander onto other topics and just try to escape some of the reality here that's occurring. Today I went back to one of my favorite old topics, thinking about the grand scheme of things and where we are in the universe. And it's always, to me, a mind relaxing exercise in some ways, even though it's almost incomprehensible, or it is incomprehensible, our place in the universe. It also sets upon me a sense of awe that is hard to describe, I guess. And I think it does that for a lot of people, but I like to just think about how insignificant we are, and by that I don't mean that we're of no importance or that the world here is of no importance at all. I'm not suggesting that. We could be of incredible importance based on the life forms that have evolved here over the millions of years that the Earth has been in existence. Approximately 4.5 billion years, actually. But now when we consider the scope of the universe and its age at about 14.5 billion years, it really is a sense of insignificance as far as we are concerned on the grand scheme of the scope of that whole universe. So there are millions of galaxies, like the galaxy we live in, the Milky Way galaxy, and each of those galaxies have millions or billions of stars in them. It's estimated that many stars have planets that could be similar to ours circling them, solar systems that may not be too dissimilar to ours in the event that they can lead to the formation of life. It's generally assumed or thought to be the case that you would need planets at certain distances from the stars, obviously, because if you're too close, you'll burn up. If you're too far away, everything will be too cold. So those are probably some pretty good guidelines to adhere to as far as when they're searching for planets that may have life. Anyhow, I sometimes think about what the life might be like out there, because most astronomers or scientists that study this kind of thing certainly believe that with the numbers of potential inhabited planets out there, which are apparently large based on the number of galaxies and planets in existence, you can imagine that the life forms would be just amazing to conjure. A hugely diverse array of life forms that may be similar or totally dissimilar to what we have here. There could be other planets that may, for example, have stages of life on them that may be similar to the stages that we had when the dinosaurs inhabited our planet. Or there may be planets that have primordial soup-type organisms, such as those we had at the beginning of life stages here on the Earth. So it's just mind-boggling to consider this. There could be huge planets that would dwarf our planet that may be absolutely teeming with life forms of all types. Maybe flying creatures as big as a house, or insects type creatures that swim in the water and maybe 5 feet long. Who knows? Like, it's really up to the mind to invent, I think, such potential creatures that could be in existence out there. And I often think, wow, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to travel to such planets in a time machine? And obviously this has been considered by many other people. That's why we have movies such as science fiction movies and books and time machines and all these kinds of things. But it's still fun to sit and think about, I think, and let the mind wander. It's easy to do that in a dark room with your eyes closed, just contemplating planets, that the look of planets that could be out there alone when we know of planets in our own solar system, such as Saturn with its amazing ring system, and Jupiter, its huge gaseous quality with that could engulf the Earth hundreds of times over. And we know from pictures acquired by the Hubble Space Telescope that the types of planets and other entities of the star system that are out there, that it's just an unending possibility of sights you could see. And of course, when we think about the stars, that's a whole other gamut of just things that are mind-boggling, from huge stars that would dwarf our star to things like neutron stars and black holes that have huge masses, and yet the entities themselves have shrunk down to, city size or smaller objects, and yet they have gravities equal to huge stars that suck in the nearby energy and masses that come near them. Anyhow, it really is a fun exercise, I think, to sit and think about those things. And certainly when the stresses of everyday life get to you, I find it's sometimes relaxing to just sort of lay back, forget about some of the negative things here on our planet, and just let your mind wander to things like that. And I hope you can maybe find some relaxation in that too, because it's good, I think, exercise for the mind too, to try to think about the life forms that could be out there on these other planets, what they may be doing. It's sad that we really have no chance of ever seeing them because of the great stellar distances that we're talking about between star systems. But it's comforting to know that they probably are out there. And it does point to the importance of trying to make sure we are good stewards of this planet, because even though we think there's a very good possibility of many other millions of planets that have life, we don't know for sure just how many, and we can almost be certain that all the other planets that may have life will have significantly different life than what we have here on planet Earth. So just points to the point again of trying to ensure that our nature and our environment remains intact here for the foreseeable future, and the importance of trying to make sure that future generations have or develop a strong regard for maintaining it so it can last well into the future generations, so our children can enjoy it, and their children and grandchildren can also inherit a viable, vibrant, life-filled Earth to enjoy. I thought I'd leave off tonight with a poem relating to the topic I was talking about tonight, about the universe, and thinking about such all-encompassing things as the universe and galaxies and whatnot. This is a poem by one of our more famous Canadian poets, Robert William Service, and it's called A Grain of Sand. If starry space no limit knows, and sun succeeds to sun, there is no reason to suppose our Earth the only one. Mid countless constellations cast, a million worlds may be, with each a god to bless or blast, and steer to destiny. Just think, a million gods or so, to guide each vital stream, with overall to boss the show, a deity supreme. Such magnitudes oppress my mind. From cosmic space it swings, so ultimately glad to find relief in little things. For look, within my hollow hand, while round the earth careens, I hold a single grain of sand and wonder what it means. Ah, if I had the eyes to see and brain to understand, I think life's mystery might be solved in this grain of sand. Anyhow, hope you enjoyed that poem called A Grain of Sand by Robert William Service.